Welcome back to the Nullify Tech, where we've got the TNT takes for you on the Amazing Race 33. Myself and Michelle are joined here today by Arun and Natalia from the Amazing Race 33. Hello, guys. How you doing?
Yay. Thanks for having us. We're so excited to be here today.
We're so excited. It's nice to see you guys.
Very excited to talk to both of you. I just mentioned prior to going live, I noticed you guys have started your own channel as well, where you're doing recaps of your own experience on the show. How's that experience been like, dipping your toes into the podcasting realm? And have you enjoyed it? Is there more to come from the Arun and Natalia recaps channel?
Yeah, it's been nice being able to relive the episodes and going into those details. And I was saying, like, major props to all the podcasters out there, because we're learning all the like how hard editing is and putting ththings together. So just major props to everyone out there. But it's been really nice being able to share kind of our side of the story, the behind the scene details that you don't sometimes see.
You do a great job on editing. For having done it for the first time, you do a good job.
Thanks.
We started with one recap and we went back to the race, and then people said, why don't you guys do this? So we started doing it, and we like it, actually.
Yeah, we weren't planning on doing it initially, and then we're like, oh, we like sharing our story. This is good. This is fun.
Do you find it's like therapy to talk about what you went through, and you can control a little bit of the narrative as well? Because obviously on a show like The Amazing Race, it gets edited in a certain way, so it gets made to be, people look at you in a certain way due to that edit. We spoke, myself and Michelle spoke a lot about Akbar and Cherie and how Akbar was being perceived due to the edit. Is it good for you guys to be able to get out there and talk about it and really put your own stamp on this as well? And how did you feel about your edit on the show?
The edit on the show was that we are going to get lost in every leg.
Yes.
That was just that's the story they created. That's what the edit is going to be. The first two episodes we said, oh, okay, but then we knew that's going to be the story, that Arun and Natalia are going to get lost in every leg, even though that was not the case all the time. But we wanted to let everybody know our side of the story, what exactly happened, so that people understand we are not stupid or dumb. We know how to read map. We did make mistakes. We do agree. But the edit always is going to be different.
Yeah. And we're not great navigators. We're not going to say we're like the best navigators in the world. But there was definitely times where like we did not get lost, and the edit made it seem like we were getting lost. And I think the one time we got really lost was Switzerland. But after that, we didn't get like a majorly lost. But that was the edit, showing us when other teams did get lost in certain areas, they would always, show us bumbling around.
But yeah, it was so funny when, Chris would say, how do you think Arun and Natalia are going to go next leg? And I'm going, do they have to drive anywhere? Do they have to get in a car? If they have to, there may be a problem. There was, I think you were in Greece. This was the best. This was the best. I was screaming at the screen because you were trying to direct Dad, and he was just having a go at you and saying, "Is it straight left or straight right?" And I'm like, "What do you mean straight left or straight right? How can it be straight and left or right?" And Natalia, you're in the back seat going, you're saying something that was totally not answering his question. And I'm like, then he's not going to know where to go. He's just going to go the wrong way.
Right. And I want to talk about navigating for the back seat as someone that's shorter. Sometimes it was hard for me to like see the signs, and then you have like the camera person. So I'm like trying to see the signs from the back seat. So I think that was just one interesting like thing, just navigating from the back. But yeah, I think if you're talking about the fork where it's like it forks right and it forks left. But if you look at it, we were already in the left lane. So that's why I was like, go straight, we're in the left lane. But I mean, it's clear, left, take the left on the fork.
See, they took all the footage and they edited in such a way they show that, correct? And a lot of times Natalia is, go there. I said, where? where? So it is just, when you're under stress, that's what happens. And it's easy for us to sit on the couch when we were watching the race and say how dumb these people can be. Then when you're really racing, then you realize how difficult it is.
Yeah, and I understand, because I've done a couple of races where we have to drive, and I'd finish at a challenge, and then I was a driver. I just start driving, and they would say, hang on, we don't know where we're going. And I said, but we've got to be quick. I'm driving now. You just tell me where to go. Hurry up. Tell me where I'm going. And I would stress them out seriously, because I just want to drive.
It's very stressful to do navigation and self-driving and manual and in a foreign country and trying to be there on time. So it's everything adds up.
Yeah.
I think we probably have a better appreciation than most casual fans that watch the show because we've interviewed a few racers now. I've interviewed quite a few survivors from different countries that have played the game, and you always get that different appreciation that a show can be edited in a certain way to make you feel about a team or a person in a certain way when they're out there. So I always try and be as cautious as possible when I commentate, but you still want to commentate and have fun with it and lean into the edit a little bit when you're watching the show. It's half of the fun, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, the truth is that we didn't do a good job in navigation, and that's where we landed where we landed. If we had a better navigation and better driving thing, we would have been in a much better position. So, but for our lot, this season was all self-driving and navigation.
Yeah, because if you look at it, like our best legs were like the ones we weren't self-driving. Our second leg in London, we went from 9th to 3rd, and then the Corsica leg with the cheese making, we were shuttled around and we were able to come back from being last. So it did have an effect on us.
Because if you look at the race, we have done good in challenges. It's the only thing, the most important thing is going from one point to the other in the race, and we didn't do a good job.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It was a very different race. I do want to backtrack a little bit because I feel like we've gone quite deep into your race already, but I want to go back to the beginning, right? Who sort of got approached to do the race? Did you guys both apply for the race? And also, were you fans of, the Amazing Race before you actually did it?
Yeah, I think we were actually the only team that had applied our season. So I had applied in 2016 with my fiance at the time, my now husband. And I got a call 3 years later from the casting director, was not expecting it because I forgot we had applied, thought it was like a joke, ended up being actual and they were interested. And my fiance, he couldn't take time off, but he found out that I had applied and he was pissed.
No, she didn't tell you. Our family, we've been watching the race. I mean, we've watched every episode of the race. And even my wife is a bigger fan than us. And we had always wanted to send an audition tape. And Natalia kept saying, "Oh, we'll do it, Dad. We'll do it, Dad." And then when she told me that the race people had called me, I said, "When did you send the tape?" What? So you literally screwed me over. You didn't want to do
Natalia, oh my God.
I didn't think we were ever going to be called back. So he's like, "Well, tell them he's available." So I'm like, "Well, if you want a father-daughter pair, like my dad's available." And he has so much energy.
No, she had told the producers, "No, we can't do the race." And when she told me, I said, "Call the producers and tell them my dad wants to go." But they wanted to know how fit I am, whether I'm good to go on the race. Once they've seen some of the pictures, they said, "Yeah, I think he can audition. Let's get it going."
Yeah. And then we went through the 1 week audition. We were flown out to LA, and there was actually 2 rounds of auditions before. We were in the very last round of auditions. I think Lulu and Lala were with us, and Raquel and Kayla. But it was actually right before we ended up started filming. So we had like 4 weeks from when we found out, "Oh, you're going to be on the race," to like actually going out and starting back in 2020.
Not much time to prepare for an amazing race at this age.
You did extremely well in the physical department, and we'll definitely ask you a bit about that as we continue on here. I just want to say hello to a few people here in the live stream as well. So Mark has jumped in the live stream. Mark, welcome to the live stream. We've got Lovable Nikki, Veronica as well. And Lovable Nikki saying that's a great audition story. And I loved you guys as a team this season because I can relate, Arun, to your story as a person who's immigrated from South Africa to New Zealand, where I live now. I know what it takes to move from one country to another country to try and get better opportunity. And you move to a place where you don't know anyone, I'm assuming, and you have to grind and, move yourself up in the world. And there's no mom and dad here to help you on this side. So I related so much to your story. What was it like for you guys to do this race together as a father and daughter team? And especially because this race was so different, I'm assuming you had a lot of downtime in between legs and things like that. How has your relationship changed? And I'm assuming it was already very good prior to going into the race, but how did that change for you guys to spend time together doing this thing?
Yeah, it sounds very cliche, but we keep saying like we didn't think we were already very close. So we didn't think, oh, this can't make us any closer. We're very close, but it does, because we hadn't really been in like such high pace, like this high adrenaline situation, and just having to sort through that together, just understanding, communicating better together really brought us closer. And then the hotel rooms, I think we did get on each other's nerves a little bit in the hotel rooms. Like, especially our season, every other day we would get COVID tested. So there was a lot more 24 hours, you're stuck in the hotel room. And so I think that we're like, after a while, after a couple weeks in, we're like, okay, I think I'm sick of you at this point. But it's an incredible experience that we'll never forget. So
you have a lot of time then in the hotel rooms to go over your notes, and that is beneficial, considering, you know, other seasons they don't have all that time. So yeah, there's so much study.
To say something about the relationship is that normally it's the father-daughter, correct? So they think culturally in Indian community, the father is the boss and she has to listen to everything. That's not the way we ran the race. During the race, we were equal partners. We had strengths and weaknesses. We worked on it. So that's I think one of the things which we learned is that we can trust each other as a team and run a good race.
Yeah,
and I noticed that definitely. I could see that you guys were able to, you know, go back and forth and bounce off each other. And I do have, funny enough, I don't know if you guys are aware, but there's a very large, and I think it's pretty much everywhere in the world now, because South Africa has got a very large Indian community outside of South Africa. But Auckland, New Zealand, there's a massive Indian community here as well. So I've got a lot of friends who are Indian. So I know that traditional Indian dynamic between, you know, the parents and their kids. And I understand that and appreciate it. I could see it was very different. It was very almost American, you would say, in regards to how your partnership was. And clearly you were influenced a little bit by, I'm assuming, growing up. Natalia, were you sort of born in America, or were you quite young when you moved to America?
Yeah.
What was your backstory?
Yeah, I was born in India, and I came to US when I was like 3 years old. So basically, like, grew up in the United States, in Michigan. But yeah, like growing up, even did not have that stereotypical Indian dad. Like, just like he was like, do what you're passionate about. Like, you don't have to go into a certain field, because that's kind of like the field that everyone goes into, or just like whatever you like, just pursue what makes you happy. And I really appreciated that aspect of it.
And I didn't want her to do just because the typical Indian family does certain things. I just wanted her to live her life, and that's the way I was brought up. And those are the things which I installed in her, saying that, hey, be your own person, but the mom is always going to make sure that you're in line. So I was the good cop and mom was the bad. So, but she's just been a blessing. She's been so independent, and I couldn't ask for anything more from her.
Good morning, Jimmy, to you as well. Guys that are in the live stream here, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask them. And if they're relevant, we definitely will put them up and ask them to Arun and Natalia as well. I did want to ask now, you guys mentioned a little bit about working together and this dynamic and strategy that you had within the game to have an equal partnership. You obviously did the first part of the leg. You ultimately had to go home. There was a bit of a down period. How did you change your strategy compared to what you did previously? Because clearly you guys would have thought about this, I'm assuming. And how much time did you have to prepare to do this? Like, were you aware very early on in the process that you could potentially come back? Or was this, again, a last minute thing where they said, hey, listen, we need an extra team to come back. Are you guys willing to do it?
So the thing is, we didn't think we would go back on the race. There was a little bit of a hope that we might, but we just gave up hope. We carried on with that. With the COVID, me being in the restaurant industry with no staffing, I literally was working 80 hours a week. So we were not thinking about the race. When we got the call back, we got a call back only 4 or 5 weeks before the race started. So really no time to prepare, but we were just happy and excited to get the second opportunity.
Yeah, they had called us, I think it was like 6 weeks before, and said, oh, there might be an opportunity for you to come back at like pit stops and things like that. And we're like, it's kind of weird.
You might need
yeah. And then I think they were trying to gauge our availability. And then I think like 4 or 5 weeks before, they're like, okay, you're officially on the race. And we're like, what? Like, it was just so exciting because we had that little bit of hope, but we didn't know. And so we weren't like other teams were taking these 19 months, right, to like prepare and things like that. We weren't, because we didn't think we were going to go back. And so we were like, okay, prep time now. Like, what do we really need to focus on? And like you mentioned, that Scotland leg, you know, it was really big downfall for us. So one thing is just we realized that we can't be too nice to each other, even though we were trying to be equal partners. Someone had to put their foot down. So that was kind of the dynamic that changed a little bit. And then also, you know, we wanted to make sure we did practice navigation a little bit before we went, surprisingly. It's different when you're actually on the race, but we wanted to have more of a strategy on how we were going to approach navigation going into it. And
we also practiced dancing. So we did the father-daughter dance, and she just wanted to do a boring dance. I said, no, we need to spice it up. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to watch.
I've seen it.
So we did practice some dancing, and we didn't really have much time compared to the other teams. So, but we were just happy and excited to get the second opportunity.
Yeah, super.
Yeah, I'm running through the dance in my head now. I'm just thinking of you, Arun, doing this bit.
So quite interested. You know, you guys had obviously come back. You had a strategy for how you were going to take on detours and roadblocks. What was the strategy? Who would do what type of challenges? I'm assuming that you would have said you're better at doing potentially memory or puzzle, you're better at doing physical. What was the strategy there, and how closely were you guys able to follow it? Because I'm sure you go in with a plan to these types of races, you've got an expectation, and as soon as you get out there, everything goes out of the window because you're under high pressure.
Right.
We actually did a good job, because the strategy was anything physical that I would do, and anything artistic or anything to do with smarts,
memory, puzzles.
We're talking about book smarts, not street smartness. So, I would do the physical aspect of the challenges, and I think we did a good job sticking to it. So if you go look back at the roadblocks, I've done all the physical ones, and you have done most of the.
Yeah, I was kind of jealous because his reasoning why he wanted to do the physical ones, because they tend to be more of the adrenaline ones, and he's like, he has a lot less of life to live, so he wanted to experience all these things. He's like, you have time to do that, like the canyoneering thing. Like, I really wanted to do that.
The Alps
or the Alps too. But he's like, he wanted to experience these things, so you know, for those things when you
I was impressed, Arun. I just want to say with the canyon thing that you had to run through the water, and that I was impressed. You had some pace on you. You were passing people on there like crazy. You're very fit for your age. And you know, is there any other, you know, reality TV adventure shows that you'd like to go on? Because I feel like you'd fit in pretty well.
Hey, my next thing is to go on Survivor. I'll do my best to get on Survivor. I will see what happens. So that's what I want to go on next.
Yeah. And Natalia, you do you have any aspirations to do? Is this it for you, or are you going to do something? Would you put your hand up to do another type of reality TV show?
I always said Amazing Race is probably the one reality show I would do, but you never know. If there's something that's interesting, I would definitely be up for it. We're very competitive, so any challenge, we're always up for.
So would you do something like challenge?
I don't know about the I would probably do something that, like, Survivor interests me. I don't know about like, as you saw in Scotland, like, I'm very nice. That's probably my weakness, I like to help people. And when people saw me helping, like, for instance, the bagpipes, they're like, that's her personality. She can't. So then I might I would want to do it to prove to my like alter ego that I can have that kind of like social, like conniving kind of a personality as well in a reality show. So I'd be interested in doing something like that with more of like the social.
Because I think I like to do Survivor because I think I have the skill set, whether being social, I can deal with being with no food for days. I don't have a problem. I can sleep and anywhere. So I don't need any comfort. So I think I will be well suited to be on Survivor.
While we're on
looking at you, Arun, there was a drone shot, and I think it was the start when there was the last 4 teams, and you Phil said go, or someone said go, and you just ran so fast out of there. I actually rewound it just to watch you again because you were so fast, and I'm like, oh my God, he's like 50 something, and he's just pelting out of there. So you do really well, I think, on Survivor Challenge.
Actually, I was so proud of myself because I thought I'm going to be physically, I might be an hindrance, but I was able to keep up with that. And I don't go to any gym. I don't go work out or anything. All I do is work. But I played sports in my living. I played a lot of cricket. I played softball, baseball. So I used to be very fit during my younger days, and I continue to keep myself fit.
Muscle
Did you
memory.
miss playing cricket, moving to America?
I didn't play much, but I played
No.
cricket at a very high level back in India. If
Yeah.
you guys know of Anil Kumble, do you guys know of if you know cricket, Anil Kumble, we used to play on the same team.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
So
I'm Aussie. Cricket's like our national sport. Are you kidding me?
South African. So I know what you're talking about. You know, New
Yeah.
Zealand's got a pretty good cricket team at the moment as well. I think they're up in the top 2 or 3 in Test cricket at the moment in the world. So, yeah, cricket is a big thing over here. But I can imagine it'd be a bit of a cultural shock moving to America and it not being a big thing. And especially, how long ago did you move to America, Arun? Like, how many years have you lived there?
I've been here since '95. So I used to work on the cruise ship before that. So basically, I've traveled around the world, and so I've seen a little bit of the world.
Yeah, because the world's gotten a bit smaller. It's easier now with the internet. You can watch cricket anywhere in the world. You can watch it on demand. But I think back then it would have been a lot harder to probably stay up to date with everything. And in America, what's your sport of choice? Do you watch sports in America now? Have you got a new sport of choice over there now?
Okay, football is football and golf. I watch a lot of football. I'm crazy about that. I'm a big Detroit Lions fan, and I watch either golf or football. I watch any sports, even curling, anything, any sports.
Curling?
Yeah.
He loves sports.
That's not really a sport.
Now I know who I have to get on the line if I want to, because I still find it hard to understand American football and the rules because it's not a big thing outside of America. You know, I've been trying to get into it so many times, but it's just complicated. You know, so I now know who to message.
So much strategy into American football. It's crazy. I mean, it's just so much into it.
Yeah. Now, you both mentioned that potentially, you know, a show like Survivor potentially could be something that you'd like. Who's the players that, you know, I'm assuming you guys have watched not just The Amazing Race, but Survivor and other shows as well. Who's the players that you would play the most like? You know, I know you'd play your own game, but who would you, like to emulate if you could play the perfect game out there? And Arun, we'll start with you. Who do you think you'd be able to play like?
I would play like Ozzy.
Provider?
I'm sorry?
Would you be the provider or the challenge beast?
I would be a combination of the thing, depending on where. Early on, I just want to stay low, and later on, prove that I could do well in challenges. So I would not start off very strong to start the I don't know, race or start the Survivor season.
Oh,
Lovable
good.
Nikki has said, this season it had so many wonderful teams. Arun, Natalia, you're so positive. I cannot stop smiling. And we have had, your cast has been so great to talk to as a whole. Everybody we've spoken to have been so positive. Natalia, I want to give you an opportunity as well. Who would you play like if you were out on Survivor?
Yeah, I that's a hard question. I think
Don't tell me
Edie
Queen Sandra.
No.
No.
from the last season. I think I would probably stay a little bit under the radar to start with. And then I think just give it all after like merge and try to play that social game. And like I think I would try to like have like little mini alliances and try to like cover all my grounds and just be very sociable with everyone. And I don't think people would notice kind of that, and that would kind of be my strategy.
Yeah, I think that if you go, you guys know more than me. You've already been casted for a show, but I feel like if you go and try and get casted for one of these shows, that's the exact opposite of what you tell them you would do if you're out there.
Yeah.
You'll be like, no, I'll play like Drea. I'll just go and cut everybody, change alliances, left, right, and center. You know, I'll go down in flames. And then when I win the $1 million, I'll put it all on black over in Vegas. You know, that's the kind of people they want to see on the show. Going back to The Amazing Race, though. Who are the teams out there? And we talked about your cast members being, you know, lovely people. We've had the opportunity to speak to Lulu and Lala. We've spoken to Kayla and Dusty so far as well, and Raquel will be next as well on the podcast, which I'm looking forward to. Who are the people that, you don't need to mention them specifically, but who are the people that you gravitated to the most while you were out there? And, you know, how much opportunity did you get to connect with other contestants out there? Because I know the show was a little bit different. It was a little bit harder to, in between legs, really connect with people.
So for us, actually, we didn't get any opportunity to do any associate with any teams because we were eliminated, and then I'm guessing the other teams kept in touch, so they were much closer when we went back. They were happy that we came back because without us the race wouldn't have continued, but at the same time we always had that saying that they didn't hate us, but they were just
if there was a U-turn, we
would
heard
be the
that
first
we
team.
were probably the team that was going to be U-turn, and we knew it. You know, we were getting a lot of the chances and things like that. I think, yeah, before coming in, like the teams, it was kind of intimidating because we knew they once we got eliminated in Scotland, a lot of those days after we got eliminated, the teams had got an opportunity to get really close. So we knew coming in, we were kind of like with Mike and Mo, the outsiders, because we had bonded a lot with Mike and Mo because we went to sequester. And so coming into that, we knew we were kind of at the bottom. But when we did come back, we got to go camping. We got to spend a lot of other time with those teams, and we really bonded and got really close during it.
We are very close to the other teams. Just to say, we really thought Kim and Penn were the most well-rounded team. So we basically knew that unless they didn't do something stupid, that they would win the race. Because when you look at the overall thing, they were very well-rounded.
Yeah. Kind of interested, you know, obviously you mentioned that going back to the race, you didn't have that same bond. You didn't have the ability to talk to teams and that. Who would you have U-turned if you got into an opportunity to get ahead? Like, was Kim and Penn that team? Did you immediately see them as that threat? Or were you like most of the others, you thought Dusty and Ryan would be the team that ultimately would win the whole thing?
Yeah,
I think we probably will differ in this. She'll probably say Dusty and Ryan, but I would have said if I had the opportunity, I would have U-turned Kim and Penn.
I would have, like, because there was a time, like, especially that Corsica leg after the cheese, there was a U-turn. That would have been a perfect opportunity for us to use the U-turn on Dusty and Ryan. So I think there was plenty of times for us where we would have had that opportunity to use it on Dusty and Ryan. So that's why I would say, just to help us progress forward.
No, but he's asking if you had the opportunity.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we did have U-turns,
would you have U-turned? Because a lot of people are like, oh, we wouldn't have used it. Like, when
we would have
because we were at the bottom of the pack all the time. So we would have U-turned somebody because we just wanted to get to the top.
Yeah, I think it would have been different. I don't think we would have used it if we were in the top two teams or top even three teams. But once you're in the back of the pack, it's a totally different mental state you're in, and just constantly being that from when we came back in that Switzerland, we already knew we had a speed bump that wasn't aired, so we knew already it's either Mike or Mo and us, between us going out that there's no other,
because it was just not an ordinary speed bump. It was a full-blown challenge where you had to drive for almost 45 minutes. Then the challenge was it took about 30 or 40 minutes to get the challenge done and drive back another. So it was about 2-3 hours. So there's no way. They made sure it was fair that one of the teams is going to continue.
That's a long way away for for that to happen, isn't it?
Jeez. I don't think it was 3 hours.
No. I said the drive you're talking about. 40.
Yeah, like 40 minutes.
I actually said to Chris that I didn't think anyone would U-turn anybody else because everyone is so friendly and everyone seems to love each other. I think they'd have to be really stressed to have a U-turn happen. I think it would have been interesting to see who U-turned who and if it really did happen.
Michelle, in these shows, anything can happen. People might show a different face when actually come time that they make decisions which benefits them. Because if not, then they're not really racing for $1 million. They're just racing to be nice.
Yeah, also they might just be telling us this on some of the interviews, because if they do get back out there, then people would think they're nice and they would never U-turn anybody. But then when they get the opportunity, it might be a completely different race in an all-star season. Now, you guys have raced once out there. If the opportunity were to come back and they said, listen, we're getting an all-star crew together, we're going to do another race and we bring some of the better teams back. Do you have your bags packed? You're back out there again to do this craziness all over again? Would you put yourself through the paces?
It's so funny you asked. We were looking at the bags today, and then I said, I'm going to keep this ready to go.
You never know.
Crazy. She said, "You're crazy." I said, "Hey, stranger things have happened. I was on the Amazing Race. Nobody in the million years would have. I had to pinch myself and say, am I on the race? You never know." So I for sure will go back on the race.
Yeah, I would definitely go back if we were asked again. Yeah, we would drop our bags
because
for sure.
we have some unfinished business to take care of. Because if it was a normal season, and if we had traveled to other parts of the world, whether it's South America, Asia, and it was not all self-driving, I think we would have done very good. If you look at our challenges, we've done, I mean, good in the challenges. It's what we have struggled is getting from one place to other. So I think we have some unfinished business to take care of. We go to other parts of the world, and there's more stress with catching your own flights, and there's equalizer. There was no equalizer this season. So I think when you go in a normal season, I think we have a better chance of doing being in the top.
I think it would be interesting if you went to India, especially because I don't think we've ever had an Indian national actually go back there on a season. So it would actually be interesting to see you, Arun, in India.
And I can speak 3 or 4 different languages, so that's going to be. I think even in Asia or in South America, I think if it was not just to Europe, certain teams benefit by going to Europe and certain teams don't. So it was just, if it was a normal season, I think it would be different.
Yeah, I think some of those countries that you go to where it's not your Western European first world countries, like for instance, like I mentioned Africa before, Asia, South America, potentially, some of those countries, it can be a lot more difficult to navigate as well. So it's definitely something where you guys didn't get the opportunity to show what you were made of. Talking about these different countries, though, and the different cultural differences that you go from leg to leg, I'm assuming there was still some cultural shocks as you were out on the race and things that were very different. Like, can you talk to some of the things that for you sort of was a little bit difficult to navigate through? I'm assuming Scotland was one of them because it was probably very hard to understand them at times. I've been to Scotland before. I know that it can be hard to understand them, so it probably didn't help if you tried to ask for directions. What were some of the difficulties culturally, I guess, for you guys when you were traveling?
Yeah, definitely the language barrier. I think actually in Scotland, I didn't have a bad time understanding, but he did.
I couldn't. I said, is he speaking English?
Like he would help with like the directions.
As it is, English is a foreign language. It's not my mother tongue. So as it is, I have an issue with English. But then going to Scotland, I couldn't understand. A lot of times I was like, do you understand? You actually were pretty okay with
yeah, and Scotland was fine. I think Greece was really hard with like getting the directions there. Specifically, I had the biggest language barrier. And I think also in Switzerland, some people were apprehensive when we were like going up to them. And I think like you after a while said like maybe I should just go because I was like younger woman going up to some of these people. Because I don't know, you got yelled at.
One incident. I thought then not security, the camera people said, let's go, because one guy was literally went cuckoo. He just started yelling, and he said he hit all these people.
Yeah, but anyways, it was just like not a good situation. So we were like, who you approach is a big part of getting directions and navigation as well, which is not really shown sometimes on the camera. But like the people you select, you have to be kind of selective because each person you ask, you have to have them sign a waiver. It takes time, so you don't want to continuously be asking people.
But in general, I think we didn't have that many. Like other teams probably had more the issues, but overall we didn't have any major issues that way.
Now, I have a question for Natalia, not so much for you, Arun. So the first time you went, you pack your bag, you get on the race, and you think you're on the race, and you think, I don't need this in my bag. Why have I got this in my bag? What did you change the second time in your bag? What did you take extra? What didn't you take?
Yeah, so the first time we thought we were gonna be hungry all the time for some reason. We bought all these like granola bars and Cliff bars, never ate anything. So we're like, I'm not bringing that back. I did bring a little bit more makeup the first time. I know some past season people brought like blow dryers. I didn't bring anything. I just bought very basic like foundation and mascara going the second time because you are on camera. So it's like you don't be like completely barefaced. And then we brought just a lot less clothes. I think that we brought, like, he only had like 2 shirts, and we were just doing sink laundry pretty much the whole time the second time around. Yeah. So
yeah, I think it's good that you're the only season who've had that chance to like amend and change things. So yeah, I had that question in my mind recently, and I thought, I can ask you.
I think you reduced your weight by almost 6 pounds from the first into the second.
Oh, that's good.
yeah, we weighed it. So I think it was like 15 pounds the first time. So we were aiming for like 12 pounds. And then I think I ended up going down to like 11 pounds. And I think you were like 12 pounds the second time. So
it's good.
Yeah, because especially this season, it was quite difficult. We noticed that there was a few legs where you had to, for some other reason, the producers thought, listen, let's get these guys to run up as many staircases as we can. And some of the challenges, you guys could not, like, it looked like nowhere you could put your bags down. So I'm assuming there was some very strict COVID protocols in regards to where you're putting your bags down and things like that. So you had to keep it on you at all times so other people couldn't touch it and things like that. Is that the case where you pretty much told you have to have this on you at all times? Because other seasons it felt like you could put it down a little bit more and do a detour in the meantime and then go grab your bag again.
Right. Yeah. The clue would specifically say a lot of times, like, take your bags with you. Like, you're not coming back to the car. So that's why you see the teams will be carrying our backpacks and a lot of things. I think there were a couple stairs, like the Corsica leg, where you didn't have to take your bag, and we were in the shuttles. And I think we benefited from seeing that teams were carrying it and coming back to their shuttle. So then we knew we could just leave it in the shuttle. So we got, like, kind of being at the back of the pack actually was beneficial then. But yeah, a lot of times it was, or even it said keep it in the trunk of your car. So like,
trunk.
Yeah, so
we couldn't
opening
open the trunk.
We saw one episode we were showing. A lot of teams had actually struggled with that. They only showed us, but that was not straightforward. But like it specifically said put it in your trunk. So otherwise, I don't care. I'm leaving my bag in the back seat. But like it tells you specifically where to leave your bags.
Yeah. So I'm quite interested. You said you would do the race again. You would definitely go out there and race again. Now you've had the experience of racing. You could almost say twice already because you've done the leg and then you came back and raced again. What would you do differently if you had to go out there? I'm assuming you're wiser for having run more legs, going back and running it. What would you do differently if you had the opportunity to go back out there?
There's one thing for sure. I'll navigate and she'll drive going forward.
Can you drive stick now, Natalia?
So I didn't know how to drive stick. I took lessons before we went the first time, but he was just more experienced at it, and being like in the adrenaline, it's with not having as much experience as him, it seemed like better for him to do it. But yeah, that's something we would definitely switch.
No, but it's what we learned, correct? It would probably make more sense for me to be navigating and for her to be driving. I think that would really help us go a long way. Otherwise, I'm not too sure if we would change anything else.
Yeah, I think it was just making sure we had navigation packed would be like our main thing. We would not want to get lost again. Yeah, that would be our thing. But if you think about it, we didn't get majorly lost. It was really just small things after that.
But that is one left instead of the right is all it makes to lose a race.
Michelle, you look like you want to ask something.
No. I was thinking about the left and the right again.
Still stuck on it.
Remember about Arun that scene was amazing.
They did you guys dirty. They did you guys more so Natalia. They did Natalia dirty with that scene.
He didn't listen to me though, because I'm like, right. He's like, what are you saying? No. And I think it was because he couldn't see me because I'm short, and so since I was behind him, he couldn't like see if I was moving my hands or like my face, because he would keep telling me like I can't see you. And so I think like the one leg where we were in the convertibles, where I was sitting next to him, we did fine in navigation because he could like we were literally right next to each other. So
a lot of times I'll be like, Natalia, are you sleeping? Where are you?
Now, I wanted to ask, obviously, Natalia, I saw you do the bungee jumping on this race. Have you done that before? Was there anything else that you had to do where you thought, I would never do this before on the race? Or was the bungee jumping one of those most scary moments that you had on the race? For me personally, I've always said I would never, ever bungee jump unless it is for $1 million. Like, it's not my thing. And New Zealand is where it was invented. everybody bungee
Oh,
jumps
yes.
over here. So yeah, like you can bungee jump off bridges, you can
Mm-hmm.
bungee jump off the Sky Tower in Auckland. You can New Zealanders find a place for you to go and bungee jump. They put the bungee jump cord up and you can go. But I've so far been able to avoid it for 34 years of my life. So how did that feel like?
I was excited. So I've been skydiving before, but it was my first time bungee jumping. But I live for like all the adrenaline. So when we read it, it said like, who wants to get down? We thought it's dancing. So I'm like, not you for sure, because you're not doing any dancing. But then I opened it up and it's like bungee jump, and he got mad because he wanted to do it.
I wanted to make that was on my bucket list, but I didn't want to do any dancing. So any choreographed dancing. Let me read. If it's just dancing, I'll do it anytime.
But yeah, I was so excited because that was the one thing before going on the race I said I wanted to do was bungee jumping. And the fact that I got to do it, I was over the top. We got lost getting there. So the excitement went down a little bit.
You did it so fast, it was not even funny. She said, whatever, put it on. And within 2 minutes, she just jumped and she was smiling when she was the only one. And I'm like, hey, Natalia, great job.
Yeah, you have to do it fast. You have to get there and jump off. Otherwise, it's just you're standing there thinking, God, what am I doing with my life? Seriously.
So what was the toughest, if that wasn't the biggest one for you, the biggest obstacle, what was the toughest obstacle for you on the roadblocks, Natalia?
Roadblocks, interesting. Yeah, we amongst the cast we're actually talking about people who did the bagpipes versus the fishing nets, because I had done both. And which one was actually harder? And for me, I thought the fishing nets it took me a little bit longer. I did the bagpipes really quick, but just understanding initially what to do with the fishing nets took a little bit of time. But once you get it, it's fine. Getting the knots and doing that, but just that initial starting and looking at the technique took a little bit. So I think out of that, those that we did, that one probably for me would have been the hardest.
And Arun, for you, you had a couple of exciting moments as well. I believe you were the one who went up the mountain as well and had to go and see all the countries, which to me was probably the most breathtaking. So you got to see something as well that Natalia didn't get to do. So I guess it's tit for tat. But, what was I'm assuming that was one of the greatest moments that you had on the race and something you remember for a long time.
The Alps was one of the most beautiful things, even though it was not easy. It was pretty physical. Going down was good. Then I thought we are done. I got to get my ticket and they're going to take me somewhere. I didn't realize we had to climb back.
I remember you're like, oh, where's the helicopter?
Right. And he's like, where's the flags? Because when he had opened up the clue, he thought he's going to have to like look out for like flags.
Identify the 6 flags. So I thought, they gave me the clue and then they said, oh, you're all set. I said, oh, I don't need to identify the flags. And then I have to go back. So it was, but that was beautiful. I mean, even though I did take him second to just look around and then start running back up. And I did pretty good in that challenge. So I was very proud that I was able to keep up with Ryan. And I think it was Ludo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So which of the roadblocks for you were the biggest struggle out there and why?
I know. Row your boat gently down the street.
What? Sorry, what was going on there, Arun? I don't understand. You were just going into the docks and like, wait a minute. He's actually paddling the opposite way. He should be going the opposite way. I don't understand.
Arun, tell Michelle that she needs to get in there and show us how it's done.
Michelle, people have asked me time and again. That was the moment I had to shine. It was just like the Super Bowl or the World Cup finals. That was my moment. And I said, when it says row the boat, I'll do it. I said,
he volunteered. He saw the boats and he's like, this is mine.
I'll do it. Even though I've never rowed a boat in my life, I said, I'll do it because I thought, this is going to be, so take 2 paddles and I have no idea what. I guess what I was doing wrong, being the experts told me, I guess, that you have to synchronize both the paddles at the same time. Whereas I was doing one. So it was one was going back. So literally going in circles. When I was doing this way, I was going backwards. Trying to go backwards. I'm going front. I know it sounds funny, but that I'm not even sure how I choked. I mean, that was just a big choke.
But
and I was going to say Ryan got your name before you could go back out and get it.
He's taking my boat. That's my boat. I should have just jumped in the water and pulled the boat.
Yes.
Now it's
Would you have been allowed to do it? Would you have been allowed to do it?
We asked that after. We were curious, and yeah, he could have just.
I could have just jumped in, and it would have been good TV too.
Lesson for anybody in the future if they play it. If it's not against the rules clearly stated on the instructions, I'm assuming you can do it.
You could do it, and that was because the other 5 roadblocks I did very good. I always took over teams. That's one of the reasons why it kept us in the race, because I was able to. The other 5 roadblocks, I killed it. The moment I had to shine, this is your time, Arun. Okay, here comes the biggest choke in Amazing Race history.
Hey, at least you're going to be memorable. Yeah? I'm sure they're going to show us 5-6 seasons from now. They'll show Arun just going in circles out on the water.
I'm famous for 2 things. Donald wears your trousers and row your boat. So at least you're famous for something.
Exactly. If you're memorable, you guys have always got a chance to come back.
Remember that the crazy bald man, he didn't know how to row the boat.
I always feel for that girl who had the watermelon straight to the face, because we always see that over and over still on the screen. Even this season, we saw that. So no, it was very memorable. And I think the other thing I wanted to ask, Natalia, I believe you were the one who did the columns at the end of chapter 2. Now, obviously, this was when the race was already done, but how difficult was that to do? How long did it take for you to get through that? Because to me, as a fan looking at that, I thought that was one of the more difficult roadblocks that you could potentially do.
Yeah, actually, surprisingly, surprised myself. I got through it really fast, and they said I did it actually faster than some of the testers. And I just took my time. I kind of knew we were in last, so I guess maybe a little bit of the nerves were gone, and just like paid attention to the details. I was looking at the arches, and I knew there was 2 columns. So as you went down, it's kind of hard to see some of the columns, but I was really looking at the arches and was able to get the number 106, and I was excited about that.
You did it pretty fast, but it was thanks to my wonderful performance. We didn't even give ourselves a chance.
Yeah, we were last at that point.
It's so tough. I mean, you guys, if you did one thing right in that league, you could have been in the final 3, racing for the final 3. And what does it work like that you're out of the race here? Do you go on the same plane as the rest of the guys going back? So you're actually on that same plane going back. And what does that feel like sitting in there? Obviously, these teams are quite excited, and well, we're not actually participating in this race. And how were other people around you, I guess, were they cognizant of the fact that, listen, you guys have just missed out on this opportunity? Like, talk a little bit about some of the off-screen dynamics there going back and just missing out so close to the final 3.
Yeah, so we were actually on the plane as Phil's giving his little spiel. We were ducking behind a chair so you couldn't see us. But we were on that plane flying back to LA. And I think at that time we had come to terms, with being eliminated. We felt good about our journey. And so I don't think there was any like animosity or like us, like it was fine interacting with the other teams. And we were proud of them. They had raced really well. And so I think it was a good dynamic.
And if you go back to the Scotland leg, it was very emotional that I literally cried, because I felt that we had this opportunity and I couldn't sing or dance, because if you look at our bio, the 2 things, my weakest thing is singing and dancing. Her weakest thing is navigation. We got both in the same leg. I was so emotional about it, and I literally couldn't sleep for 2 months about the whole thing that I let Natalia down. But this leg, we ran a good legs, the best. We put our best foot, whatever it is. It didn't work out. So we were okay, and we knew the 3 teams which were going to the finals had run a good race, so we were pretty okay with that.
Yeah,
and we have a good relationship with the other team, so that probably helped also.
I actually paused when Phil was on the plane giving his spiel. I actually paused to see where you 2 were, and I couldn't see you down either side, and I'm like, they're there somewhere. I don't know where they are.
We were talking behind
we are right behind Phil, actually. You can see a little bit of
that plane didn't look like it had like an entertainment system or anything in it when I looked at it. So you guys couldn't watch movies or anything? Like, what were you doing for all that time on the plane? Is it pretty much just playing card games or?
Yeah, we were like thinking about because we didn't know where we were going. So we were like looking out the windows. We're like, do we see mountains? Where are we? Because we had no idea. But Yeah.
That's one of the craziest things about this season is you had no idea where you were going. It's just like you land in some random place. Is it Russia? Where is it France? Where are we?
I don't understand that. I don't understand why they would have kept that a secret from you guys. And I can imagine that would be horrible getting in a plane not knowing where the next location's going to be. It's almost like you're being abducted.
But I think it was a big part of the season is that they
Yeah.
didn't want you to prepare in the plane, and that was part of the race strategy this season. So they didn't want us to know.
Yeah, because even initially we didn't know if are we headed to Europe or are we going to South America? Because we knew with the COVID there were certain places we could probably going, but we didn't even know. Like we're like, are we flying east? Like where? So it was just interesting because I'm a planner, so having that airport time and being able to prep and be like, here's the popular food in this area or that we didn't have any of that, and so that was kind of I think a disadvantage of the season again.
But we named the chartered aircraft Big Phil, and after traveling on Big Phil, we can't go in economy anymore because we got spoiled. It was just like first class. I mean, that way, I'll give you. I mean, hats off to Amazing Race and the production team. They did a wonderful job keeping us safe. I mean, COVID protocols were not one case of COVID, so I give it to them that they did a great job.
Yeah, that's amazing. No cases that whole time. It's just fantastic. I actually thought you were going to come down here because Australia was letting in quite a lot of production for TVs and movies, and I thought, oh, maybe you'll come down here, but no, it's obviously better to stay in Europe where you can do a few different countries, and it was easier.
Yeah, I think we're actually supposed to go to Australia on our the initial leg, and also I think Nepal was on there. So we were excited. We were like, "Oh, we're gonna go all these countries."
Because when you get your passport, they have a visa stamp. We had Nepal on it, so we were thinking, "Oh, we're gonna go to Nepal," but it didn't happen.
Yeah, so obviously you got to travel to a few locations, and sadly there's a few that you didn't get to travel to. Is there any of those locations that you went to that you would say for anybody that's watching this interview and that watched The Amazing Race, this is like the number one or number two location that you guys have to go and visit because it was amazing being there? Like, where would you recommend people go and visit?
I think Switzerland is probably what I would want to go to, the Santa's Mountain Alps again. So I would definitely say that was one of the highlights.
I would definitely say Switzerland, just the mountain. It was just so beautiful. And that was the 1 second where we're like, look where we are right now. Like we literally like had goosebumps. I know a lot of the other teams will say Lugano. We have kind of bad memories because we got really lost that way after the bungee jumping. But Lugano was just like, just beautiful.
And even Corsica was...
Yeah, Corsica. Yeah, because I would have not thought about visiting Corsica, but then after being there, just like, yeah, up in the mountains and everything, it was just completely, I would definitely recommend Corsica too.
While you guys are mentioning Corsica, Michelle, did you notice the greeter looked like it was the same greeter that was used like so many years back?
Yes, I saw that. There was a post in the group and someone had actually screenshot him. Yeah, I hadn't realized they used the same greeters in, subsequent seasons. I had no idea.
That's crazy to see. Like, I mean, I didn't pick it up, but this is what I said. Like, I'm a fan, but I'm not a fan to that level. And the people that pick those things up, hats
just
off.
Amazing how the fans, the super fans, how much they follow, how much they are into all these reality shows, and how much homework they do. It's just mind-boggling.
Yeah. That's why this Survivor is so funny. I know it's off topic, but we've got a guy on the season called Roxroy, and everybody tried to find him before he went onto the season, but he's not on social media, so no one could find anything on him. So even when they had the spoiled cast out there who they thought was going to be out there, he was the only one that didn't have a cast photo on it. Like, so they just had like this blank photo to say this guy's named Roxroy's on there. We don't know who he is. And for the super fans online not to be able to find something, that this person is off the grid as can be. Thank you so much for coming on board and talking to us today here. I want to give you an opportunity to let fans of the show know that you were big fans coming onto the show, playing this game. And we love seeing fans play the show. So automatically when we see fans out there, you mentioned you were probably the only team that actually applied for it, but there was a lot of people that were recruited for this season. What sort of message do you have for other fans out there that are thinking about playing this show? Like, what are the things that they should look out for as two people that watched the show and you went on there and then you had to learn it the hard way? Is there anything that you could tell fans to make their journey and One of them is on this podcast. She's applied for it quite a few times for the Amazing Race Australia. What's the advice you would give Michelle and other fans that want to go out and do the Amazing Race?
I mean, for me, I would say age is just a number. I mean, I've had several people reach out to me and say, hey, I am 50 years old. I don't think I can make it on the race. And I'm a good example. Age is just a number. And
Great.
when you get on the race, when you send your audition tapes, just be natural, just be yourself. Don't try to put on a show, just be yourself. Tell them what kind of a person you are, and that's all it is. So just be natural. Age is just a number, and if I can get on the race, anybody can get on the race.
Apply. Like, don't just say like, oh, I can think I could be on the Amazing Race, but take that chance, because if we didn't, we would have never.
And you got a call back after 3 years, so you never know. So you just keep applying and apply 20 times or whatever it is. Just if you really want to get on the race, listen to podcasts, listen to what you can learn about the race. We didn't do that much of it because we didn't have the time to get ready for the race. But if you have the time and you want to be on the race, listen to as many podcasts and listen to the experts, listen to what the racers are telling you. That's what will get you on the race. Just be yourself.
Yeah, just be your authentic self and really focus on Amazing Race, specifically your relationship with your partner and like what's unique about that relationship.
Because that's a big part of it. When they're casting, the one thing they want to know, it's okay for you to be fighting. That makes good TV. That's what they want. Just show them you fight. Or if you get a lot. No, that's because that just makes good TV, correct? You know, in Survivor, they want good TV. So somebody like Dusty, he wants to, but that's he is. I mean, that's how he is in real life too. He's such a nice guy, but Akbar, the edits show that, but he's the most humble guy if you get to know him in person. So
I can tell, like I've seen his Instagram lives. The guy does so much for his community. He gives back so much. That's why I was so frustrated when I saw people make very silly comments online just based off like 30 seconds that they saw on a TV show, you know. But again, it's one of those things, you put yourself out there in the public domain, I guess you're always going to have potential criticism coming your way as well. And that's why so many people don't want to be the villain team. And that's why everybody's nice on the show, because they don't want that backlash in the social media age. But I think that's such valuable advice you gave there. I mean, we had Mark here in the chat saying that he's applied 7 times. And I know that people have gotten onto the show after years and years of applying on the Amazing Race, on Survivor. It just, every time you apply, you've got a chance. If you don't apply, you don't have a chance. So just keep applying. And it's the same for you, Michelle. You know, just keep applying. Michelle's gotten close a few times.
Hey, if you don't buy the lottery ticket, you're not going to win the lottery.
Exactly.
So, continue to apply and be yourself.
Yeah, Arun and Natalia, what's next for you guys? You've got this YouTube channel. I'm assuming that when the Amazing Race comes back out, it's going to be hard for you guys to completely not pay attention to it. We've heard that the Amazing Race 34 has been renewed. We're all very excited about that because you never know with the Amazing Race. It doesn't get that approval or the renewal as easily as some of the other reality shows, which is a big shame, because I think it's such a great show. And, you know, we get to see around the world where people travel, and it's an adventure show. It's in my opinion, it's a lot of fun, and it's a show in all realness. Like, I'm a fan of all these shows, but if I could choose one that I would want to take part in, I think the Amazing Race would be the most fun to do. What's next for you guys? Will you be talking about the Amazing Race on your channel? Are you going to be doing other things on the channel? Give us a little bit of insight as to what people can do and where they can follow you.
I don't see why we shouldn't be doing it. I think maybe we'll continue to do it. So we have been put the thought into it, but I think we might continue to do it.
Yeah, I think when people have been reaching out, like, already, like once 34 comes out, you know, we're going to be invested in again. So we'll probably stay tuned. There might be some stuff. We're going to be releasing we did a packing video. We're going to be launching soon on our channel.
Oh, that's good. I love packing videos.
I don't want to put you guys on the spot here, but, you know, could we potentially see the nullified take versus Arun and Natalia draft pick for the next season, where we do some draft pick on the teams and we see who wins between the two channels?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I know you guys like the challenge, so you know. So yeah, I mean, listen, you guys have got a great personality. I've really enjoyed talking to you. You've got such great positive energy. I do hope that you use your platform, you know, even if it feels like maybe there's other people out there that with they had a little bit more fame even before they went out there. I mean, look at Kim and Penn, nearly 1 million subscribers. I do hope you use this opportunity to make more of it and do something on your channel. It's like you guys said, similar to applying. If you don't put yourself out there, you're not going to be able to potentially reap some success and benefit out of it. And I'm sure there are going to be people who will want to hear from previous races about certain topics and reality TV and that. So I hope you use that platform to do that. Also, Arun, for people that are, I guess, over there where you guys are, where can people go to your restaurant? If you want to plug that out.
I'm a franchisee of Dunkin' and Baskin restaurant, Dunkin' Donuts and Baskin Robbins. So I have 4 locations in Metro Detroit. So they could always come to say hello to me.
Yeah,
awesome.
Just send a message and we'll let you know the locations. Yeah.
All right. Hang on there as I just close this off, guys, and we'll say goodbye to you when we stop the recording. For everybody that's still here, thank you so much for watching today. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Hit the like if you like this content. We will be doing some more interviews. I've been talking to Raquel. She'll probably be on next. And I'm trying to get Kim and Penn on the podcast at some point. I know they're a little bit harder to get a hold of because they do have a busy schedule, but we're going to work very hard to get more Amazing races on the podcast, and maybe even some past Amazing Race contestants that didn't participate this season. I think it would be really interesting to do a few interviews with them. And like always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Put a like on the video and see you next time. Bye.